Hello, I'm Hannah Melser, and this is Green Watch, your locally produced news program. Today with us is Brother Yahcanon of the People's New Black Panther Party. He's the national chairman. Secunda Joseph of BLM HDX. She's the director of Smart Media and Activism. We have Malik Muhammad, who is of the National Black United Front, and we have Koswa Williams of the National Black United Front, program coordinator of Feed the Hood.
Yes.
We're here today to talk about the National Black United Front's People's Patrol program. They're working local stores around in our community neighborhoods. We're also going to talk about coalition building and organizing. So where would y'all like to start today with this conversation?
Well, I think it'd be great just to really kick it off talking about what the People's Patrol is and the necessity for it in our community. Mm-hmm. I know that, the People's Patrol is something that was created by the National Black United Front to basically allow us to take ownership of our community as relates to especially these foreign-owned entities inside our communities who typically take money from our community outside our community and don't give anything back. So what we have is you have these businesses, these corner stores, convenience stores in our communities. A lot of times they don't have the best interests of the people that they extract. They don't have the best interests of the people whom they extract money from, and we've noticed that the quality has gone down as far as how they treat the customers inside the stores. Some of the items that they sell inside the stores are greatly outdated. They sell drug paraphernalia to people in our community. They give alcohol to people in our community, and nobody's really holding them accountable in our community. Now, so what we've done, we said enough is enough. We must take charge of our community, and we're not going to be waiting on some other savior to come out from some fairy tale, Never Land, and come and save our people. We knew we had to put it upon our shoulders and our backs and make it happen. So that's what we're doing with the People's Patrol, just at least one aspect of it anyway.
Mm-hmm. So what you're telling me is that there's perhaps a exploitative relationship between these businesses and their relationship with the community.
Absolutely. There's definitely, yes, it is. We have witnessed people who are, once we've brought it to their attention that these goods are expired and no good, they tell us we don't care. We're going to put it back on the shelf. Or the same as that can. We found a can, I believe, one time from 1987. Okay, 1987. This is an antique at this point, okay, literally. And we found these antiques on the shelves. Matter of fact, I remember it was a Kraft product, and the Kraft logo doesn't even look the same anymore on it. That just goes to show you the dating on it. But nonetheless, we found these items inside the stores, and these people put these same products right back on the shelf again. Molded products. I mean, clearly expired goods, and no one is holding them accountable unless we go in these stores and bring it to their attention, and even then we're having a battle with them.
So go ahead.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of important to say that the reason why, because people ask, well, why would the people shop there, right? Why would they go there? Well, most of the stores are located in communities that are economically disenfranchised, right? So a lot of the folks walk to the stores. They're convenience stores. So, I think most of us are kind of aware on how convenience stores operates, right? So what you can buy in a normal grocery store for, like for example, a bag of rice, right? In a grocery store, it might be 89 cents for a small bag. In a convenience store, it's double or triple that price. And the reason why it's so easy to up the prices is because the folks have no other place to shop. A lot of these convenience stores are in food deserts. So you basically don't have a choice. Transportation is either, if a lot of folks who don't have transportation shop in the stores, a lot of folks who do have transportation, but this is their neighborhood store. And on every block in these particular communities, there's no competition that say, hey, we have to treat, people better. So they're kind of, I guess, if you kind of think of what the media is now, there's no competition. So they give us what they give us, and we don't have a choice but to receive it. Like actually not get any information or get bad information. It's kind of the same thing that's happening within our community. So it's either don't get anything or shop at the only place that's available to you.
So you're saying there are not other options they can go to either to compare prices or find other superior goods because that's the only location within walking distance or within their transportation distance for them to get groceries, get back home, get to their families.
Or the competition is exactly the same.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Or it's just absolutely not convenient. Yeah. You know, it's really not convenient. As if you can walk out your door a block or two to go to a convenience store versus you get in the car going to these major food markets that we have, maybe on the outskirts in particular places. So it's just a matter of convenience, and they are taking full advantage of that convenience.
So kind of like shooting a fish in a barrel. Like they've got a trapped audience, a trapped consumer base that really can't find other options that would be more responsive to their needs. So they can increase prices and treat their customers with a lack of respect since there's not another option those customers can go to.
Yeah.
Does this pour over into increased poverty in those neighborhoods because they have to pay so much more for basic goods? You said triple, quadruple price.
I mean, that's been the story, I think, within this country. And we're just talking about Houston from the time there were established African-American communities. So when there are places, and whether they were convenience stores or whether they were, mom and pop stores not owned by the folks in the community, there's always been sort of these prices that were extremely high. And not only is that with our goods, it's also that with even just paying rent. But I don't want to take it off what we focus on, but that's a small. But when you talk about, economics, yeah, that's one thing. But I can't acknowledge that without acknowledging, okay, yeah, but there's no comparison to rent. So, yeah.
And I know one of the things that really, I guess, ticks me off about the whole situation is this. These are people who have, when you go inside their communities, you don't see the blatant display of disrespect, in their businesses inside of their own personal communities. You don't see it. When you go to a Pakistani community, you don't see, you wouldn't dare walk into a store and see such unhealthy products on display. You won't see people advertising 40-ounce beers and selling crack pipes disguised as rose stems. You won't see that. But for some reason, they feel as though that it is okay for them to do it in our community. And then when we actually bring it to their attention, that we recognize this is what you're doing and we understand the intent behind it, they get upset at us as if we are bullying them instead of holding them accountable. You see? And it's not, you don't go in anyone's community. If you come in someone's community doing business, we're asking you to, number one, do fair business, okay? Treat the people with respect. If you know you couldn't get away with this in your community, then don't bring it to ours either. You have to, it has to be a mutual respect given to everyone, you just won't go into a Pakistani store or Iranian store and see pornography at the front desk next to the candy eye level for children. You will not see that, and I dare to say that it won't even be there at all, let alone, but nonetheless, you come in our communities, for some reason they feel, I don't know, maybe they feel we don't have standards, maybe they feel we don't have self-respect or we're not deserving of it, but we're here today to tell them that we're making a statement and we're going to get our respect. And we want them to they're going to do business in our community because they don't do us right. They don't treat us right. They don't practice fair business in our communities. We plan on shutting them down.
And I also, this is my last I talk too much, but I also want to say that, it's not just, folks who are from Pakistan or folks who are from Iran or folks who are from, Korea or China or Asia. It is almost every person who has the opportunity to open up a convenience store within our communities, within African American communities, and I would say Latino American communities as well, from what I saw, and most of those people, they're most of the folks who have that opportunity are also people of color, right? So it's very disheartening. It's very kind of frustrating, you know, for folks who also have issues within this country, you know, and abroad, to come to another group of people who are being disenfranchised, and to just go on with the hype and treat us with so much sort of disrespect. Not sort of disrespect, a lot of disrespect.
Koswa, how does your program, Feed the Hood, kind of play in this situation? How do they kind of fill in the gaps maybe that are left?
I just came into this position a year ago, well, 2 years ago actually, and the whole goal behind Feed the Hood was to provide the community with food, non-perishable items at the end of the month so they could hold them over to the next month when they get their food stamps. So that was one of the concepts behind Feed the Hood. Feed the Hood, we're actually moving around now throughout Houston, where we used to do it locally in 3rd Ward every month at the end of the month. But now we're actually moving around Houston to different wards, 5th Ward, in different communities and things like that. But it helps because the canned goods that's given, you know, what they're buying in the stores that's outdated, well, we're giving them quality things at our for our program.
How has the People's New Black Panther Party been involved with the food? I wouldn't say maybe a food crisis, but definitely a food problem that seems to be going on. Have they helped to maybe confront store owners or help with the providing food to people in the community?
Yeah, you know, one of the things that's important when we go into these stores is security. You know, you can go back to the case of Latasha, I think Harlan's it is, back in LA when she was shot in the store.
That's right.
You know, these people have such a blatant disrespect for us, for our children, you know, that they would actually murder us for the work that we're doing. You know, we want to provide, you know, so we provide security, making sure our women and our children are safe. So that's one of the things that we do, you know, as far as playing a role in it. You know, we also help going through the shelves, you know, and things like that, looking at different items. You know, we make phone calls to, you know, to the inspectors to find out, you know, what's up to par, what are all the codes, you know, the different ordinances or things like that of that nature. So, you know, we do a lot of, you know, some leg work as far as desk control, you know, proper security, and just making sure everybody stays safe. You know, we also have incidents where the police are called. You know what I mean? So, you know, whenever the police are called, we make sure we, you know, confront the police. We want to talk to them, let them know that we have every right. This is our community. What we're doing is legal and fair. We don't want them showing up, guns blazing, you know, and putting us in harm's way. So that's what role we play in it.
So it seems like in a lot of these instances, the community has had to step up and fulfill the role of what normally local, state, and federal government would be doing, of our security in the community, or making sure people have enough food to make it through the month, or that the food at stores is up to date. You know, passing health. Where is the local, federal, state government in all this? Why are they not responsive?
Missing. You know, like they've always been missing in our communities. Like you see Katrina. Like you saw the floods in Greens Point, you know, with the fire department being out in my land, you know, but you have people floating in ice boxes and things like that in Greens Point. You know, we have to be self-determined in a situation like this. They have never been there for us. They're not going to be there for us. And it's an illusion, you know, for us to think, you know, that they're going to be there for us. You know, this country has a certain, you know, way that they do business, whether we want to accept it or not, it is what it is. And we have to set an example for our people. You know, our people are in fear. They don't know how to stand up for themselves. They don't know how to be responsible in their communities, you know, so we have to be that example, and that's what we're going to be. We don't know how we're in a situation to where we're trying to do something that has never been done, you know, and let's turn our situation upside down. So somebody has to be the one to step up to the plate, you know, be strong and start making some change somewhere. You have to do something. Sitting around just talking, running your mouth is not going to get nothing done. So this is the example that we're setting and putting forth.
And I would add to that, you know, it's not so much that that our people don't know how to be responsible. Like, we we as a people have always been responsible for ourselves, but everybody can't do everything. And, there's always been a lot of pushback. So we lived in fear for a very long time. Fear, not only fear, but also just having to get permission for everything. And when we ask for help, when we ask for permission, for example, so you call the police because there may be a problem, within a home, whether it's with a, person with a mental health issue, or whether you having a problem in the store with someone who's treating you unfairly. 9 times out of 10, when you call the police, the way you're treated, whether you're a man or a woman or a child, a lot of times, especially if those police don't look like you, there is some, it's scary. I'll just say that, it's scary. Not only is it scary, it is demeaning, it's disrespectful. You're always on defense, you have to really, and if you have children with you, it's like the police are showing your children how they treat your community. I'm imagining a situation right now, so I'm kind of thinking about something and talking at the same time. So I said all that to say that it's important for us to figure out new ways on how to do this. And NBUF has done an excellent job in, creating these programs, and not just creating them, but opening it up and saying, hey, Brother Yahcanon, hey, Sister Secunda, hey, whoever, this is what we're doing with our people. Would you guys like to, partner with us and, get this done together?
Yeah, and I want to just say this, that historically, what we're facing is that people typically outside of our community who do business inside our community, they are more so, they have it's like a parasitic relationship. You see, they don't mind setting up camp or setting up a shop to dump a bunch of garbage into your community, as long as they're able to extract the wealth out of it. You see, they don't have any vested interest in our community, in our children, in any of the long-standing institutions that are there. They don't even, most of the time when you go inside these stores, they don't even greet you or look. I mean, they treat you as if you're just an object there to give them money. And now, since it's been going on for so long, it's become the norm to really literally disrespect people and tell them to get out and just be very rude. Whereas back in the time, maybe during segregation, we had black-owned stores in our communities, okay? And it was a completely different dynamic. We didn't have to worry about going to the local corner store, getting disrespected, because number one, the person who owned the store or whatever, they lived in our community. They lived side by side with you. We don't know who these people are. We have no idea. And it's not that we we feel like we're against people doing business. No, that's not it. We're against people doing bad business that is detrimental to our community. And as far as the police are concerned, the police in our community have never, since the inception of the police, as it's been introduced to us in this country, they have always been to protect their own interests, you see, never to protect us. When you go to other communities, you will see it's a different dynamic. You'll see people talking to the police and welcoming and waving at the police. You don't see that in our community at all. You don't see it. And it's not a welcome sight. When we see the police, it's automatically,
we clutching our purse.
Yeah, I mean, it's rough, because we know how they view us, and no matter how much they spew that venom about how we're delusional and we're misinformed and miseducated or whatever, we know it's a crock of crap. At the end of the day, the police are terrorizing our community. They're occupying for us. They are there to take us as a resource to fuel this industry, this prison industrial complex, period. That's what they're doing. And the people who you would think, like the health department and things of that nature, you would think that they would come in and do their job, but they don't. They don't. Half the time, they don't even come in and do what they write down that they're supposed to do. They'll forge a document in a minute, because you can't tell me that you went inside this store each and every month or every 6 months to look at the quality of these products and produce inside of this store, and we have a canned good from 1987. How do you miss that long of a period of time? That means you're simply not doing your job. Yeah. And it's like that because they don't take us serious.
Yeah. And with those departments, you know, you think about how many actual inspectors do they have? And when they have inspectors, are they sending them to the little small businesses in the hood? Like, you know, we had Marvin Zindler at least, you know, at one time, you know, make sure folks, you know, didn't have slime in the ice machine. But it just doesn't happen. We're not a priority, which is why this, you know, we're an answer to that problem. Like, there is a solution. Okay, we know that this is a fact. This is fact for us. It has been fact. So, you know, what can we do? Well, we can do what we've always done, and we can do it ourselves. And we can, you know, create a space where folks are in time after, you know, this grows, where we create kind of what that competition is. Because if we don't have police, then we're the police, you know. And if we have to, in time, begin to boycott, you know, begin to do things, you know, you see it over and over, then we got to do what we have to do to ensure safety and health and just for the dignity of our people and ourselves.
They don't really care about, you know, it's just so disrespectful. One store we went into, a question was asked to the guy behind the counter, do you know that this is expired? He's like, yeah, I don't care. Like, it's like, I don't care. And it was like, you're going to take it down? No. You know, I'm like, it's just so disrespectful, because we know that they are not selling this to their families. They're not giving this to their children. They're not providing this to their community. And it's disheartening. It hurts. You know, it's like we're treated less than dogs here. And it's unacceptable. It's very unacceptable.
So some of these things they're able to get away with it because it's not necessarily illegal to sell expired food, right? So yeah, that's what I said, right? Like, I mean, really, it's not necessary illegal to sell expired foods, but you know, is it illegal to sell food with rat droppings and roach droppings and you know,
been tampered with in some way?
Yeah.
Or the repackaged meat past its expiration date originally, or to not have the meat at the right temperature, or
milk.
Milk, or I mean, we can go on and on with the things that we've seen. I mean, these things are horrendous.
And in these stores, like, okay, because of the way the community is set up, in these stores, whereas if you go to another community, you might not see a corner store that sells, you know, meat, you know, processed meat, like for sandwiches and that kind of stuff. But within our communities, there's a lot of that, again, because of the transportation issue. So you have a lot of the folks that either catch the bus or walk to the store, and the grocery store may be a little far off for maybe not for the walk there, but for a bag or two, you know, it's difficult, especially within this city with this heat. So you go up the street. Yeah, but I'm just glad when I heard about what they were doing with the People Patrol. It was almost like it wasn't even planned. A lady by the name of Brandy Holmes, who's with our organization BLM-HTX, she was like, we were all at was it a protest or something?
Yeah.
We were at a protest for something different. And she said, oh, they doing the People's Patrol. We heard about it. We knew about it, but we had never actually had the opportunity to participate. And that was our first time. And I mean, I have to be honest, like when I first went, I was like, but, you know, because I'm from these communities. Like I've lived all over, you know, you heard Brother Yahcanon say earlier off the air, I'm from the hood. Like there's not a hood on the north side that I hadn't lived in. This, you know, you say the hood, but this is my community. This is, you know, folks who saw me. This is people I went to school with. This is what my whole world was, right? A good world, you know, a beautiful world. So, you know, I kind of understand the dynamic. I think it was because one of the things we talked about, we went in the store, and I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was you or somebody was explaining to one of the gentlemen who shop at the store, hey, don't shop here because of whoop, 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 or whatever. Gentleman walked out the store, you know, like, yeah, but, you know, and at that moment, I kind of like felt the gentleman. I understood. I was like, well, where is he going to go? Well, such and such, what is he going to do? Because I am, you know, this community. I wasn't necessarily from Third Ward, but I have been that gentleman. You know, I have, you know, needed things at a store that I didn't even know. So old food, I have been treated disrespectfully, but this is the only place that I had to go. So I was kind of, there was like this moment of, like, I know it's right, but there's not a solution, you know?
You know, I remember when I was getting ready for an event, and me and a brother that's a part of Inbox, Brother Haran, we actually walked inside of a store that's right around the corner from our headquarters. We walked to this store. Actually, it's the same store that you were just talking about. We walked to this store, and we opened the door, and the guy behind the counter was arguing with the guy who was trying to buy a pack of cigarettes. Now, the guy didn't want the cigarettes that he was handed because the cigarettes were soaking wet. Okay? I don't know how the cigarettes got wet, but the cigarettes were wet, and you could see the water clearly dripping out of the cigarettes. The man was telling him, take the cigarettes or go. Now, he had dry cigarettes back there, but he didn't want to give the man a pack of dry cigarettes for his money that he gave him. And to top it off, the man said, I don't want the cigarettes. The man didn't even give him back his money. The guy proceeded to walk out of the store, okay? He proceeded to walk out of the store, but the clerk was so irate at this time, he grabbed his gun from around the counter and was about to shoot this man in the back. Until the brother Haran stepped forward and told him, do not pull that gun on that man, do not shoot that man in the back. And then he was so mad, and I'm not exaggerating. I know this sounds far-fetched, but this is a real-life scenario that actually happened right here in Third Ward. And this store is still in operation, and they have been guilty of having numerous infractions. Right? We found at least 3 times we went in the store. In this store, this guy has no regard for our humanity. He has no regard for our quality of life at all. And he's still in business, and it's true. Right down south.
Can we say the name?
No, we're not. I don't want to say it, but we're going to, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, his story, he's not the only one.
Yeah.
With that blatant disrespect and disregard for our community. There's so many of them out there, and you'll be shocked. Like, if you go on a patrol with us, you would be shocked at how they have dehumanized our people inside of our communities.
Yeah. And if he would have shot him, he would have gotten away with it. That's the sad part about it. And something else that we don't talk about at these stores, which is sad, are the drug dealers. It's become a rest haven for drug dealers. You know, so all these stores in these communities that you go to, there are drug dealers who are allowed, you know, by these store owners to hang out in their stores to sell dope, you know, up out of their drugs to our people, which is a sad occasion. I don't even know how we got to this point. You know, it's like, you know, I've seen them, you know, inside the stores cutting up crack cocaine right on the video game, you know, wide open in front of customers, kids. They don't care at all whatsoever. And these store owners are allowing this to go on, you know.
So that they are facilitating these harmful actions that are going on in the community that are directly harming the community.
And also the synthetic marijuana that they're pushing, you know, to our people. You know, that you see the news reports where you see people falling out, you know, dying. You know, this is not something that they would do to their own people, but they're willing to come into our communities, you know, and basically destroy it.
Well, they have become drug dealers. So you go from building a relationship, having a business relationship where you open up a space for a person to sell their product, until, you know, you go from that to selling a product yourself. Yeah.
So you said, like, in the past there were, within the community, Black-owned stores, retailers, that kind of thing. What happened? Why is there not a resurgence of that? What happened originally to tamper that down?
Integration.
Well, yeah, you know, that, yeah, absolutely. You know, but I would also add, so, you know, because I hear people say all the time, well, why can't other folks, and, you know, I hear Black folks say this, other folks can go on in your community and get a bit, why you can't do it? Well, because there are different programs you know, that our government offers, incentives for folks to have, you know, access to loans that will sustain you long enough so that you can, you know, be successful at a business. Now, could we probably, you know, and without that access to those small business grants, without it written the same way it'd be written, you know, for someone else, then it's very difficult for a person who doesn't have the opportunity. It's racism. You know, is no other way to say it. We don't have access to those funding that our government offers. I'm sorry. Yeah. So yeah, it's as simple as that. It's all about the money.
Right. It really is. And I think, you know, again, it's just important for us to know that we have to do for self. We can't be dependent on anybody. One of the things I feel about the Feed the Hood program. I think the Feed the Hood program is an excellent example of self-determination. Us not being dependent. Yeah, sometimes we can't afford to always have a convenience store next to the store who may be selling expired goods. That's a process. That is definitely a long-term goal. Matter of fact, if there are any investors out there who want to contribute to making, building these corner stores, you have a lot of money, contact the National Black United Front, contact BLM-HCX, contact the People's Party. You know, I mean, we welcome you. You know what I mean? We welcome you and your resources. But in the meantime, we have to do what we can to try and offset the damage that is being done in our community on a daily basis. And one of the programs, again, the Feed the Hood program is definitely an outstanding program. It gives our people fresh food, up-to-date quality canned goods, toiletries, back-to-school items, you name it. And I know the sister can go more into it, but it just does so much, and it builds a bond. We build a bond, unlike these people that you see in the corner stores. We build a bond with the people that we service inside of our community.
So can you tell us more about the services that Feed the Hood provides, especially with the school year coming up and back to school rush?
Well, actually, we're partnering up with All Real Radio August 19th for back to school. They're giving out all type of school supplies and backpacks. So we're going to set up there with our canned goods to tie them over until the next month when no children are going back to school and they need food. But like he said, non-perishable items, we do accept all type of donations. We preferably like Pop Tops, but if you can, I know they're more expensive, but if you don't have the money for the Pop Tops, we take non-Pop Tops, in which we have a donor that donates can openers, so which is also awesome because everybody don't have electricity, unfortunately. So we take a cereal for back to school. I would say cereal bars, things that the children can go to school with in the morning, because a lot of children don't get breakfast. Some children can't afford breakfast at school nowadays. So, that can be donated to the National Black United Front at 2428 Southmore, and Monday nights, 7 p.m. is when we actually meet there. So any type of donation, non-perishable items and toiletries.
Right.
And I think that's why you know, I think most of us are so grateful to be a part of what, you know, to be a part of these programs, even to just witness it. You know, we have people that come that say, hey, I want to volunteer. What are you guys doing? And I just want to be in this space because there's so much love with the giving. There's so much thought. You know, you heard Sister Koswa say, you know, it's talked about, you know, we're thinking about, okay, this is what happened, school is starting. This is what, you know, people need. A lot of times, you know, people who are poor, they go to food banks, but the folks who are there, one, either they're not really familiar with the community sometimes, and then sometimes they just don't know or just don't have the freedom to be that thoughtful, you know, to be that intentional about the way, you know, you serve people or the way you know, I wouldn't even just, you know, because, you know, they're not out there like, these are some helpless, poor little, no, these are people with agency and power and beauty and brains and, you know, everything every other human being have, but these are folks who need some support, you know.
And have
all of
jobs.
us, and have jobs.
Some of them have jobs and they still need help.
And I think
So-
that's what a lot of people forget, you know. You go within a community, yeah, you know, so a lot of people who are on food stamps work. As a matter of fact, most of them, if you don't listen to your politician and listen to the taglines and you really look at the stats, you will see that most people who are on food stamps, most of them are working families. You know, they don't have enough. You hear people saying fighting for 15. Well, people are not, we don't have normal wages, you know, living wages. So this is an excellent way to supplement, but in a way, not only supplement what folks need, but just give that love and that encouragement. It makes a whole lot of difference from you walking into a store or even going to a pantry, and maybe the people smile at you, but what you get is like, would you eat this?
Right.
You know, would you take this? You know, but you don't see that there. You see children laughing and playing, and lately, this last, what was it, been 3 months?
Yeah, about three weeks.
Yeah, about 3 weeks ago, we had the opportunity to put together a celebration. You know, we decided we wanted to, let's make this a coalition. Let's kind of take what Feed the Hood is doing and take with, there's another organization called Melanated Men.
Of action. Yeah.
Melanated Men of Action, the People's Patrol. And what can we do together? And so we've expanded the work sort of that we've been doing. So we added books, toys, the
Community cleanup.
community cleanup, barbecue, you know, fresh food.
DJing and everything. We've made it a real huge event. And it's not just and the beauty of it is, you know, in our community, you have these institutions, these particular agencies or companies or whatever. They come by and do fly-by-night, you know, activism, drop in, do a good deed, you know, like just like, you know, during World War II with the B-52 bombers, they would just fly over, you're free or whatever, and get free or whatever, and that's it. But see, we are consistent, you know. We don't just do these events, and that was since the beginning of this coalition. It was to be as consistent as possible in the community and to actually get the people themselves to organize themselves. You see, we just want to be the people who maybe bring it to their attention and help them get organized. But it's up to the people, if they really want change, it's up to our people to get themselves, to sustain it, should I say. It's up to them. And that's what we're doing. So our hopes is to just continue to spread this information, because a lot of our children that go in stores, I know my son is guilty of it, and I'm guilty of allowing him at one point, just trusting the fact that these people mean good by us.
Yeah.
I will let him go grab a pack of chips. I will let him go grab a bag of candy or something else, and just automatically assume because it's on the shelf that is quality. It may not have been, you know, the healthiest food to begin with, but at least I assumed that it was, you know, up to date, you know. And now that we see that, I'm talking 80%, 90% of the food in some of these stores is expired. People, when we go inside of these places, people come to us and say, you know what, I got sick eating at this place last week. I had to go to the hospital. Yes, it is that serious and that crucial. We're looking at feminine products that women use are expired, which helps lead to fibroids, cystic fibroids, and all type of cancers and everything else. It is that crucial. And now people don't have, a lot of us don't have health care. When we get sick, we can't afford to get the best doctors. So we go to these county hospitals and they patch us up the best they can. They send us on our way to die a lot of times. But when we go in these places and when we go inside of these stores and we're operating, you know, as if everything is okay and it's not, we are literally killing ourselves, and they are killing us, and they're doing it knowingly. You see, so they have blood on their hands, and that's why this mission is very important, to get people with the information to be equipped to check the seeds. Always check the dates. Always check the dates. Always try and get the healthiest products that you possibly can, because we do have a food desert, and it's something that must be talked about and must be discussed in our communities.
And they also taking, they're doing illegal things like taking the crackers. They'll go to Sam's or Walmart and buy these snack cakes or crackers and take them out of the box and sell them individually. So you can't see the ingredients. You can't see the expiration date because it's actually on the box. So it's expired. They can't tell. And that same lady he talked about, we were actually in the store that day, and she said, yeah, I bought a snack cake from here, and she said, I really got sick. And I asked the lady, you know, what was the expiration date? And the lady couldn't tell her because she hadn't threw the box away. And on the box it said, do not sell individually. You know, so technically that's illegal. You know, and I know if I had a store and I owned a store, I mean, I know I probably would be in trouble for it, you know. And that goes back to racism, you know.
And if you want to, you know, go back a little bit, and, you know, to find out how we got in this situation, you know, we were here 50 years ago, you know, and the Civil Rights Act came, and, you know, we basically thought we had won. We thought we had a victory. Everybody was sitting up hoping for change and this and that. And so, you know, for 50 years, we absolutely did nothing at all. We didn't really get a whole lot of work done. You know, we basically just started regressing and just losing a lot of momentum that we had, you know, because we were actually headed somewhere. We wanted some change. We didn't care at what cost we got it. You had the elders involved. You had children involved, you know, everybody. And so, you know, what you see here is that awakening all over again. You know, the build up is coming back again to where the community is getting involved. We're very peaceful people. We're not here to cause any harm to anybody, but yet the media will paint us in a bad light for just simply doing good in our community. And we just want positivity. We want what's right for our people. We want to change. And, you know, it's starting again. It's happening. And so the work that we do is very serious. This is not something that we're going to stop. This is not something that's just going to be fly by night. We're not starting something that's going to end. We have a calling on our life. You know, we'll be doing this until we see change come, or we create that pathway for the next generation to walk through the door.
You know, he said something. He said that, you know, the media paints us in a certain way. And I thought about, and I'm going to summarize what James Baldwin said when he said, you know, white folks in America, you know, when they hear people say, give me liberty or give me death, it's like, wow, you know, awesome. Yeah, you know, I understand that. That's a person fighting for their rights. But when black people say it, then it is no longer a person fighting for their rights. It's criminal. And even with, you know, even with us saying, hey, what's been happening within our community, this can no longer happen no more. You'll hear some folks uncomfortable with it, you know, especially the store owners. You know, one particular man, the last time we were in the show, in the store, the guy said, this is my store. You can't come in here and tell me what to do. Yeah, but what you're doing is harmful, you know. And I think Sister Koswa mentioned then how folks take stuff out of the packages and sell them. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand why. You know, they do it because within these communities, you know, if you're selling things 10 times the price, right? So if you're selling it 10 times the price, then you're kind of pricing us out of being able to buy a pack of whatever it is that we need, right? So we have to buy single because of the sort of the affordable price. But, you know, times got I mean, Eric Garner was killed, you know, basically for something that millions of small business owners are doing. And it's not just happening in Houston. It's not just happening in Third Ward. Anyone who is from anywhere within the United States in a community that is sort of, I'll say, underserved African American community or Latino community, you see these, you see this, I don't even know what the travesty, you know, this bull crap. But it's like what Brother Yahcanon said, it's an awesome time. It's an awesome time because we are building. And we're going, you know, these events that we're doing, and I won't say even events, this community building that we're doing, they're becoming bigger and bigger. You have people from all over the city who are willing to not only donate their time, their money, but, you know, they're asking, hey, what do you need? When is the next time y'all doing it? Where are y'all going next? So, yeah, people are excited. And
we definitely get a lot of momentum and a lot of support from the community. And we believe this is, you know, something that we definitely leading up to the revolution of creating change in our communities and for our people. It's important. Somebody has to do the work. So, I mean, again, we're not looking for anybody else to be the savior of us. We are taking control of our lives and our communities and doing what we know we can do for ourselves. So, again, like, it'd be good if the city of Houston did it. And if we did it with the city of Houston, that'd be even better. You know, every time you go in the store and you pick up a bag of chips or you pick up some candy or you pick up a drink and you actually looked at the date and you notice, you could be saving someone's life. You see, just by checking the date, because obviously they're not checking it. Yeah. So, you know, now we are charged with the responsibility of just, you know, not only looking out for our families, but looking out for our community as a whole. That's what we're doing. And again, I mean, I like to commend everybody who has participated in it, because it takes courage to do this. You know, it takes a level of commitment to do it, because you have we don't get paid to do this. You know, this is strictly because we love our people and we know that we have to seek change. And that's important. We have to seek change. And, you know, we're throwing ourselves in harm's way. We had people pull out weapons on us before. Had a lady here to try hit me. She actually did hit me with a stick. It was more funny to me than anything at the time. But she hit me with a stick because we brought all her expired goods to her attention in her store. And she was just upset, and she didn't know how to react. She was like, well, I'm used to selling poison. Let me just continue to sell poison.
Right?
You know?
And it's like a culture shock, though. I mean, when people, I don't care who they are, like when people are used to treating a certain group of people a certain way, that's why the police are usually, you know, pissed when black people in particular, because they're used to being in white communities and saying, okay, I have to respect you person to person. You're a human being like, yeah, right? But they're so used to, you know, being yes, sir, no, sir, by black folks, because, you know, if you don't, you get shot. You know, when someone, Sandra Bland, says, hey, no, I know my rights. Why are you pulling me over? There's like this defense, you know, and I won't say at that time that they're like aware of why I'm so pissed, right? But why this pride has, you know, wallowed up in me or whatever. I know I'm real dramatic, but it's because they're so used to this culture, and anything that kind of stands up against it, it's like offensive, and they immediately think like they're right. So it's important for us, and we, you know, glad to be on this show. It is important as it is for us to tell our people, hey, this not right. You know, you don't have to buy this. Make sure you're paying attention to what you're buying. And some of these things are dangerous. It is important for us to let these store owners know that, hey, what you're doing is not right. I know it's been acceptable, but it's abusive and it's illegal and it's no longer acceptable. So get with the culture. Get with what's right.
Something else that's highly important that we haven't discussed is the taxable items or the non-taxable items.
Yes.
Oh, I check them out.
I mean? Right. We, you know, I'm highly miseducated
You wouldn't
in
believe.
that area. You know, it's sad. I didn't pay so much money on stuff that I wasn't supposed to, but that's something we were never taught. You know, we don't know about, you know, items that are non-taxable, and we going into stores and we just giving these people money. They don't have to report this to the government, so this is money that they should put in their pocket, and ain't no telling how much money they really actually extorting from our people.
Look, every time you go into the store, you have to make sure you say, hey, do you put taxes on this medicine? I thought this was no longer taxed. This is water.
Milk.
This is milk. You know, you don't put tax. You know, some things are not taxed. And then the what they use, I want to say the materials, but you know what I mean. The cash register that they use is like this antiquated, this old register, or what you call a calculator machine, really is what it is, that prints off receipts with nothing on them. And you have to say, can I get my receipt? I intentionally, you know, make a practice, only because I'm aware, even if I don't need a receipt, to give my receipt, just to teach them, you know, these. And this is not, again, I'm not talking about one particular store. I'm not talking about one particular store in one particular community. I'm talking about all around any disenfranchised, you know, African American or Latino community that I step in. I make sure, because it's the same thing. I may not get my receipt and I have to check for my taxes because this is the culture. I don't know if I could do this, but I want to encourage anybody who is watching this show, go into your local corner store, if you don't live in a community that's disenfranchised, I ask you to pay attention anyway. Kind of see what's going on, and then go to the other side of the tracks and kind of see what you can find. And if you do live within these communities, begin to pay attention. If you see something that's not right, just bring it to the counter. Hey, this is outdated. Tell your neighbor and your cousin. You don't have to make a big scene. Oh, hey, this is outdated. Slowly but surely kind of get folks used to being uncomfortable. Maybe they'll talk, when they get together or whatever. Folks have been bringing stuff to our register, so maybe we need to, because I don't know who these suppliers are, right? So we talk about these businesses, but where are they getting these supplies from? Who's letting it in? Is it coming from the ship channel? Is it coming from some warehouse? Maybe if we push back on them, they can begin to push back on their suppliers. Mm-hmm. And if it's the government that we need to push back on, it doesn't matter. We need to know.
Right.
Yeah, something needs to hit the surface.
If they can find El Chapo, I believe they can find a new responsible for selling expired food.
That is true. Right. So what they can do is not only check the labels and check the dates, but also say, hey, this is expired. You should go to Feed the Hood, where you can get quality food and other supplies for your daily needs that are quality products, not expired. And you can also, you said there's barbecues, events for children there too. So you can kind of get involved with the community as well as raising your awareness about your receipts and the dates on food products.
Right.
Most definitely. Those are very well needed conversations that we're not having in our communities.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I want to say this. We found baby food, expired baby food, little jars.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah. Now, Pampers that are completely expired and dusty. If you literally open the Pamper, it'll probably fall apart in your hand. Mm-hmm. Like we've found this with rat droppings and things that nature on it, like rat droppings on baby food.
Dog. Feces in stores.
Yes. Oh,
yeah.
yes.
The owners have a dog and let their dogs use the bathroom in the store.
Right where they're selling you cooked food at. Yeah. You see? But unless you look behind the counter and actually pay attention, you wouldn't even know it. You'll think the dog was simply there for security purposes, maybe. But, you have to go. I encourage people, if you think that I'm exaggerating, come out with us on the People's Patrol initiative and see for yourself firsthand, and I guarantee you it will make you look at everything completely different. Mm-hmm. Being on the ground, seeing what these people are doing in our communities, I challenge you. I just challenge you to try it.
What it's like, it's a brand new world. It's like getting in a vehicle that you just bought, and all of a sudden you notice all the vehicles on the road. They look exactly like that. They've been there. Your eyes just wasn't open to it. Mm-hmm. This is an entirely different world to where you'll shop at these stores every day, and you don't realize what's actually going on until your eyes open up. Because this opened my eyes up. When I first went in, I was just paying attention. I'm very observant. So I want to pay attention to what's going on. And they bringing up so many items up to the counter, and I'm like, I'm sure I've been, ate some expired goods.
Yeah.
And, I've had stomach aches and, things like that of that nature. And our children go into these stores and they don't know how to look at dates and labels and things like this of this nature. So it's very harming and very threatening because we don't know the test studies, of what this food is actually doing to us. Mm-hmm. So we have no clue of what's actually going on with our health.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a coincidence that in our communities we're leading in all types of these different types of colon cancer, prostate cancer. We're leading in heart failure, heart attacks. You name it. We're leading in it because for one, be honest with you, the food that we do have access to. Now we're talking about processed food, which we know is definitely not good for us anyway. Okay. We know that's terrible. But on top of it being processed food, now it's expired. We found mold, rat droppings, roaches.
And what has to happen to some of this processed food for mold to grow? Because you put an apple that's from particular fast food restaurants in your car, you leave it there for days, weeks, months, and Sundays, and it doesn't turn. Like it's still just as clear and
waxy.
Manila.
We've all dropped a French fry in the car at some
You
point
like,
and find it 10 years later exactly the same.
Right? Oh my gosh.
Right. How?
Yeah. So it has to be a serious issue.
To see mold on processed food,
Right.
that is bad. You know what I mean?
And if you didn't know, it's not illegal to sell meat that's past due.
Right.
Really?
The meat has to actually be protruding out of the package that it's in. If it doesn't have air in it, then it's not illegal to sell.
What do you mean by protruding out of the package?
Like it must be growing.
Busting out.
Yeah, like it's about to explode.
Oh, it's fermented
Yeah.
and my goodness.
Yeah.
Which is why when you go to certain stores, you know, they have like this, it might be one day over or the day, but it's cheaper. Like there's this, is that common in every store?
Yeah,
you know, you get fun.
Put a little
Yeah, 'cause
dye
it's
in
legal.
it.
Yes,
Put a little
it's
dye and
legal
make
to
it
sell
red
that,
again and-
that meat. It's marked off, but yeah. So yeah, it's great. You know, this conversation and kind of if they're doing it in our communities, I'm sure, you know, folks everywhere, like something sort of is happening. And we know right now, you know, with the president we have in office right now, like FDA is lax, like nothing. It's all free game, right? Laissez-faire.
Take a vacation.
Right.
You know?
The toy guns, you know, that they put right at eye level. You know, here we see Tamir Rice up in Cleveland being murdered, you know, selling a toy gun. We go in and ask these store owners very nicely, you know, to let them know this is what we're dealing with in our community. You know,
Yeah.
please do not sell these toy guns because our children can die, you know, from actually playing with these toy guns. They have no care, no regard at all whatsoever for children's lives or anything whatsoever. If it don't have anything to do with them and their family, they could really care less.
And it you know, it has a lot to do with the messaging or the messages that's sort of put out about who we are. So, you know, whether folks are, you know, have been in this country for, you know, generations or whether they're a new family, you know, trying to live the American dream, they come here, or whether they working for somebody who, you know, who live in America. We don't know their situation, you know, the folks that we're speaking with, but we do know that the treatment or the ideas that they have of us there's a totally false narrative. You know, and if I could tell them anything, it's we're not who you think we are. And so, you know, it's time for them and us. You know, I think the best part of love is holding people accountable, not playing games with them, correction when needs to be, and that's really what the People's Patrol is, and that's why we're about that life. Not only because of the love that we have for ourselves and for the community, but even that merciful love that you have towards those who are out of control, which is like, you know, and I'll use this example, you know, like when Jesus came into place turning over tables. Yeah, we turning over tables.
Well, I remember there was some talk about a block party that y'all wanted to promote that was going on.
Right.
When and where is that happening?
Well, we've been doing several block parties over different parts of the city of Houston for the last, 4 or 5 months? Something like that.
Yeah.
So we've been doing them pretty much every month, from Third Ward up to South Lawn to the north side of Houston. So, and basically what we're doing, we're going out there. We have the Melanated Men in Action as an organization as a part of the Making a Change Coalition that we have. They do the community cleanup with the block party. The People's North Panther Party, they pretty much handle all the barbecue and some of the security and logistics and everything. Yeah. The National Black United Front, we do our Feed the Hood program here. BLM HCX, they pass out the children's toys and children's books as well.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being here and sharing and talking on such an important topic that really affects our communities here in Houston. This has been Green Watch. Take care of your world and try to make it better any way you can. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap.
All right.
With power, here they come. swamp and his brow is smeared with the blood of the poor.